Hello, everyone. We're back. That was a quick break. It didn't feel like 10 minutes, really.
No, totally didn't.
Um, but thank y'all for sticking around. We appreciate it. You are watching Art Brunch, the flagship show on the travel agency. Casual conversations with contemporary artists. Our contemporary artist today is Tiffany Sutton, and I want to read her artist statement as we get into the second part of the show where we discuss her work. So, her artist statement reads: working within the discourse of abstract and figurative portraiture, she creates photographs regarding selfhood and social movements. Her work explores the unnerving possibility of multiple meanings, dual perceptions, and limitlessness in the seemingly binary. Drawing repeatedly on black feminism thought, she captures black women with poise and naturalness that exudes a sense of ease. Photographed in classical studios, on location, domestic backdrops, and neighborhoods, she is determined to catch every moment in the subject's life, often beginning as a narrative portrait and ultimately becoming an abstract portrait. The image becomes an imprint of their visibility, their alterity gone. So I looked up alterity earlier, and um, let me let me pull that up because I really liked the definition of alterity, and then I'll kick it over to the full group. Alterity is the state of being other or different or otherness. So that
Isn't it a
is
beautiful
what that
word?
means. It is a beautiful word.
It
Okay,
really
we're back.
fits with I've been looking for a word that fits otherness that's not just otherness.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Good fancy words synonym, and I found that in some text actually. And I was like, "Oh, dope, I'm using this word. It's a
Yeah,
good $10 word."
I had never heard or read that word before or noticed that. So it
Yeah.
was like a good vocabulary to learn because people say otherness, but like it's not as I feel like otherness has such a like it has this like harsh quality to the
Yes.
way that it's perceived, and then like using alterity instead
Mm-hmm.
is a nice way of providing that and creating space for like new definitions around what otherness is, because you're talking about like removing that, and you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
like kind of uh, I don't know, broadening these perspectives on how we're connected, or how we
Mm-hmm.
move and change through space.
Exactly, exactly. So you're really, especially with Black women, we're always sort of um there's a list of things that we can be, and we can't be multiple things, and a lot of that list is negative.
Mm,
Also, so on top of everything else, so it's just these portraits have been a way for me to, like I say, reconnect with myself and discuss social movements, but also reconnect with my friends. So just reconnect with more of the Black woman culture that's around St. Louis and around me,
mm-hmm,
and really getting to know everyone. I'm in their house, which is a little weird during quarantine. So most of the time we're around their house,
mm-hmm.
um,
Mm.
instead of inside. Exactly. And when I'm inside, I always wear a mask anyway. But the whole goal was to get rid of their otherness. It's just to get to know them and be part of be part of the world as them,
Mm-hmm.
instead of this mammy or Jezebel or mother-ishness or something, or tough girl or something like that. So
Mm.
it's keeping it really, it's letting themselves come out a little bit more.
Yeah,
Mm.
the summed up in that part of the sentence, imprint, an imprint of their visibility.
Yeah.
Like just being, present is what I'm hearing. Being present with them, and
Hmm.
how they are, and how they're visible.
Yeah.
I do want to bring some of the work up onto the screen. Skate Mom asks, how do you spell that word? It's
Yeah.
Alterity. So yes, let's bring up some work so our audience has some context for uh, what the finished work looks like. Um, and I mean, first of all, just beautiful, beautiful work. I
Oh,
think
thank you.
the first time I saw them in person was at your recent show at GCAD.
Yes, but it wasn't this series.
Mhm.
Um, I named that black radiation or body radiation. I forget the title of that.
Black body
Um,
radiation.
yeah, black body radiation,
Mhm.
and it was a little bit more. It was different because that was the outdoor series
Mm,
of the group. So this is more of around their domestic spaces.
good.
And then the next one, the one I'm currently working on, is more of an outdoor in their neighborhood, in my neighborhood type, more nature.
Mhm. Yeah, a couple of things from the chat
Currently.
here. Damn, I like that a lot, says President Linkhold. Skate Mom says gorgeous. Sage says OMG, so pretty. So,
Yay!
like one of the things that I think is really powerful in contemporary artwork is, first of all, like there's a period in like kind of like the growing pains of like conceptualized artwork where beauty became this like in art, like beauty was this object to behold, and then to
Mhm.
kind of like subvert the expectation of the classic art world, like beauty was stripped from a lot of art, and
Yeah.
and then like you were able to explore art as something other than beautiful, but in
Mm.
the contemporary moment, like with your work, it can be like rigid in its conceptual
Mhm.
prowess and can be doing all of this like conceptual work while simultaneously being so beautiful. Is that something that you think about inside of your work?
Oh, definitely. I like pretty things. I mean, let's just get to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of different. When I say beauty is really the eye of the beholder, let's just say that. So we all know that. My earlier work featured a lot of food, a lot of meat that I thought was beautiful, and I put in and photographed in beauty lighting and whatnot. And the idea of flesh was beautiful to me, even if it was a cow flesh or a pig flesh or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So now getting into more of this portraiture work, which I've been doing for the last 5 years. Um, it's a different kind of beauty. It's more looking at the human subject as a beautiful subject,
Mm.
not in their attractiveness, but just in the fact that they're a beautiful person, that they are a person, and they are beautiful in that right. What's in that right alone.
Yeah.
So, been looking into that. I like visual beauty too. So, colors make things beautiful to me. If I can get opposite colors or sorry, analogous colors or contemporary or complementary colors, the
Mm-hmm.
more the better. Like either one of those. I think if you scroll through, you'll see some more um like this one, how it radiates all this green.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing of it is I told her not to wear. I didn't tell her what to wear, so I just came over to the house, and she was wearing this green dress, and it was
Mm.
during the summertime, so everything was just lush, and it just rained, and
Mm.
everything was just lush and green, and her garden is absolutely beautiful. It just works.
Yeah.
I
And
also figured that people like buying objects that aren't you don't know who it is necessarily.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
So although it is an imprint of them, their otherness is taken away in the fact that you can't see what the features are. You can make out a figure and a head, a body, kind of what they're doing. But all other emotion is taken out of it. So you're just here to just view the subject.
Yeah. Caitlin in the
Yeah.
chat asks, "What is the scale when these photos are printed?"
Variety of sizes. I like to print large, but I can't afford that. So the largest they've been is 12 by 12.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, if I had my choice, I would print them probably 30 by 30.
Mm-hmm.
These are all square, but some of the other ones are rectangle, so I would print those equivalent size
Yeah.
bigness. I like when you
Mm.
come into a gallery and the scene just envelops you. So when you're standing in front, you feel like you're actually in front of that person instead of
Mm.
um watching someone kind of.
Absolutely. Well, and I feel like these photos kind of like produce like I guess the term like an aura, of the
Yeah.
person, like and it mixes the space along with them themselves. I went to the St. Louis Art Museum yesterday or 2 days ago, and
Mhm.
the staple always is to stand in front of the Rothko we have there, and
Mhm.
I feel like my favorite, I mean, talking about Rothko and Art Brunch, I mean, maybe it's a little a little like, oh, Jake, you're gonna talk about Van Gogh next? Cool. But anyway, I guess what I just mean to say is like, these color fields that he paints, you're kind of meant to just sit there and kind of almost meditate or have like
Mhm.
the aura of the piece speak to itself. So I thought, in that very much though, using a camera to do that just by, layering double exposure like that, and then also putting a subject, so it kind of gives you like a focal point, like which they often say you should have in meditation.
Mhm.
I just think is really incredible to kind of have this washing of color, but there is a subject. Like there's something to it.
Mhm.
It's not just a color field. I think that's really incredible.
Yeah, and
I've been trying to do similar Oh, I'm sorry, Rick.
no, no, go ahead.
I've been trying to do similar work. Oh, hey, Rick, can you go to Girls with Fruit Volume 2?
Yeah,
Um, that one.
this one.
Yeah, that's the one that I had a green light on it, green filtered light.
Hmm.
And I feel this was totally by chance that I got the eye almost perfectly
Yeah,
um, with the two subjects matters. But this idea of creating a monotone or a gradation of a certain color really started with this photo here. I think you can like scroll through and see some more. Um, that one was the orange one, so there's a little bit of orange light on her. Not sure if that had a lot. This one was the green light again.
hmm.
Mm.
What's the green color?
These get more blue.
Yeah, those get more blue. And then this one's like orangey red, kind of like a sunset.
Oh yeah, you can see the different light
Hmm.
washes.
Yeah, so you can create the same thing in Photoshop or Lightroom, for instance, but I like it in to do it in camera. So these are all film.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh, the colors on this one.
well, all color on this one, so there are a lot of film, and it's just the it's a weirdness when you're doing it digitally. I can kind of see where the other me or the other person is in the double exposure.
Hmm.
But with film, you have no idea.
Mm.
You have no
Right.
idea. You won't know until you get the film back.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
Right.
a gamble. And it's at first when I first started doing this, it was so exciting to like see what I got out of it all, and everything was like a freaking genius. Like I can't believe I did this. This is amazing, you know. And now I'm cleaning it out a little bit more.
Mm.
So
Well,
now it's less like whim and more planing it out.
Yeah.
I have two things I want to say. One, a quick shout out. The very first picture Rick showed, the girl with grapes, is a friend of mine, Sarah Butler. So I have to give her a
Yeah.
shout out. Love her work. Excellent photographer. Very cool person. And second, I really think that, Rick said you and I would get into photographer gear talk at least a little bit.
Mhm.
But just I think that like you're saying the use of film, I feel like a lot of people, it's like, well, you're just pressing a button, whatever. But when you're doing
Mm.
double exposure, I feel like at that point you're kind of painting with light. You're
Yeah.
painting with the film in a way, and I do feel like these have that sort of. I always love this term, the painterly, way to it. That I love that that's
Mhm.
used as an like actual art term because it sounds like art. Like this art is very art early, but it's true. Like
Yes.
painterly photography is it. There's no better way to say it, and I think that I really love that. I think the film is the best way to do that. Is that kind of what you felt too,
I still feel that
rather
way.
than digital?
Film is
Yeah,
unfortunately incredibly expensive.
yeah.
And I can only really do it now when I have a grant. So if I'm just practicing or in between ideas or photo shoots, I shoot my digital camera, which actually it's a Canon 70
Oh,
7D,
okay.
Hmm.
and it does multiple exposures. It makes
Mm,
multiple exposures. So I've been working on that lately. I haven't posted anything on Instagram because I'm still a little nervous about it. I'm not sure what I want to do with it. Just kind of testing, dipping the toe in the water
Yeah.
Yes,
of
no,
that
for
kind of
sure.
thing. Where
Absolutely.
this work, and even then the black body radiation was a little bit more let's just see what happens type of deal. Like the
Yeah.
ones I'm working on now are more um I think more about them. I think more deeply about them. Just trying to recreate something like this. Um, but recreate it and not just like guess,
I see.
It's less
Like,
chance. It's more of it's more of a direct way to do things. It's less chance, I would say.
So
almost like a rehearsed chance, I guess, almost. Like
Yes.
it's like there is still the possibility of it failing, quote unquote, as a technical photo, but like,
Yeah.
you've tried to set up yourself for success as much as possible, which I definitely identify with for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty
Yeah.
of it, right? Like, I mean, that's what I think that shows very clearly here is that like there was risk involved and but it became successful, which makes it even better. That's incredible.
hmm
I've got some chat
It,
messages here. So we've
Oh
got,
yeah.
yeah, film is more organic than computer manipulation, but loving the emotion that these convey. Denise says these are awesome. Wise guy says each piece feels like its own world. Uh,
Mm.
Jess Whitty, I'm not sure how to say it, says I
oh,
love
hey, Jessica.
I love the complexity of the images referencing the depth of personality and humanity without labels or reduction. And Denise says, I forgot it was a photo. It feels like it's vibrating.
Yeah, I think the first one you showed of
Mm-hmm.
my friend Garen, um not this one, where is she? This one really radiates that, especially because it seems to have a little of a circular quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
So and it doesn't hurt that she's got a pool flattened out over her balcony.
Oh, yeah.
She's kind of
Oh
centered,
wow.
and then that kind of circles around with the complementary colors, kind of circles around the image art of
Mm.
her. So I get the radiation thing a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm always trying to recreate that.
So one of the things
And
that comes up for me inside of that is like it subverts just the basic nature of like portraiture. So like
mm,
the camera as a method of capturing like a moment and the
hmm
transformation that takes place in work when the camera is no longer capturing a moment but like moments plural. And this
yeah,
idea of the portrait being uh, a recounting or a recollection or a collecting of like
hmm
what a person is into something that's
hmm
stable and moves forward. That
hmm
these works, being like in the tradition of portraiture, but also because they're people, individuals as the main subject, but then kind of like subverting that through. I don't know if I'd recognize. I forget what you said her name was, but I don't know if I'd recognize her in person after seeing
yeah,
this portrait of her, right? And
yeah,
and I definitely know like with this picture, with this portrait, like I do not know who that person
hmm
is.
hmm
So like then thinking about them as portraits of people, but as like to return to the subject is the black body radiation. Like this is like a more unique and powerful
hmm
and poignant portrait of who they are because they're inside of these environments and they change
hmm
from moment to moment.
and that was the main goal after looking at them. Well, I have to say this, I'll be honest, it wasn't the main goal.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was going for in the first place. Like I said, it's film, so if I'm lucky I'll get it back that day, um or the next day really is what it takes, how long it takes to get developed and scanned. So this whole time I'm like wondering, what does it look like, and building it up in my head and hoping I got something that generally fits my thesis of what I'm trying to work on and what I'm trying to show and depict.
Hmm.
So when it does, I do my little happy dance, and this is one of those where the whole role was kind of like a happy dance
Yeah.
because it all worked out, it all made sense. And then we were talking about my horoscope the other day. If you scroll through, I think you'll see the one I'm talking about. No, keep going, keep going. Wait, no. Almost. Almost. Not quite there. Oh, so close. There we are. This one.
Mm.
Yeah, this one right here. This has been the most successful one that I've done, where you still see a figure and her face, her features come
Yeah.
out a little bit. It's more of the radiation, and it builds up a topic of artist, mother, woman, um, everything in between, and then nothing at all, but all of it. Kind of this universal woman was what I've been thinking of it as.
Mm.
And it's one of the most successful ones that I've done because of one, I like the color balance that it has. I like the amount of figures. I think there's, I want to say 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the variety of darkness that they have to them. So some of them are ghostly and others are more pronounced.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that a lot. And I really feel like I'm always trying to do that in my work. Make it so that you can see a person, but not really, kind of a ghost of an image
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. And I really feel like this particular one more speaks out to other people. Although I would say that maybe they don't see themselves in this direct woman, but they see they're not reflected directly, but I think you can get kind of like an emotional hit off of it
Yeah.
and really understand what this person's going through and what I'm trying to say, and just reminisce this, enjoying a nice color filled picture. Like, really love Rothko. I love creating segments of color and everything. So it ends up working out really well for me. This is my favorite one of the one. I'm actually and submitting it to a portrait gallery contest.
Oh,
So
wow.
wish me luck.
yes.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the same one Amy Sherrill did and got her famous.
Oh, good.
Wow.
So I'm applying
Well,
for that for the
we
very
knew you
first
back
time.
then.
So
We're gonna be the
Yeah, we're
ones
here
that
now,
knew you
so
back
don't forget
then.
us.
Yeah.
yeah,
We're claiming it now.
yeah.
So
It comes across that way.
yeah.
I like this portrait. It's very good. It's really, really nice printed too, because
Oh, I'm sure.
I had a friend of mine. Well, he's a friend now. His name is Joseph Webb out of Myth Darkroom in California, and he hand prints them for me. So
Oh wow.
back in the day, I would do the printing myself. Well, but since there's no more color printers that I can go into a color darkroom and do it myself, I send it out to California, and he does it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Wow.
an optical enlarged print using, lens and line and chemistry and everything like that.
Nice.
So it ends up being special.
Yeah,
Very
I was
special.
gonna say it's so much more there than meets the eye. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Jake, I was wondering if you could talk about this, and I don't really have a whole lot of like experience with this. I've tried to shoot, I brought like my camera to events or to functions or around people and tried to take pictures of people and have them look good, and I'm really, really terrible at it. So I'm curious from like the photographers in the room, like if you all could talk a little bit about what I noticed when I was taking pictures is I could just look at somebody through the viewfinder and the ways that their face was changing what is
Mm.
like so rapid. Like there are
Mm.
all of these different things happening on their face and every little kind of like micro moment when you're really looking and choosing like when to, you know, like depress the button and to
Mm.
say like, "Oh, that's the one I want." Like
Yeah.
is so just mind-bogglingly difficult for me because every time I press the button is like the moment their eyes close, and this is the photo that I have.
Yeah.
But then other
Yes.
people
Well,
who take portraits,
Yeah.
like even in live situations, are like, "Bang, I know that's coming. Bang, that's them. Nope, nope,
Yeah.
nope.
yeah.
Bang, that's them."
Yeah.
Right? So can you
It's
Well,
talk about
I'll
that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll just briefly state that I have definitely felt that way, and even with like inanimate objects, like a certain way a tree is bending with light, and I'm like, okay, I really need to
Mhm.
get it on this. And it's almost like a lightning strike. You're trying to catch lightning, on your camera, and it's almost literally impossible. And this sometimes I think that you do is just that you've done the impossible, and probably was an accident, if anything. And
Yeah.
in terms of portraiture, I've only done very minimal, to which where I will hand this back to Tiffany, which I imagine is and I think it's incredible too, like you're doing these multi exposures, but that means so much more
Yeah.
in this space.
Mhm.
There are
I'm curious your thoughts on that.
four different emotions
Right.
on her face here.
Mhm.
Like
Hmm.
very
Mhm.
clearly, we can go through like a thought with her almost.
Yeah. Which is why I love doing these double exposures. I mean, multiple exposures. Almost all of my cameras make a multiple exposure image, whether it's 2 or 10. So it just kind of varies. When I first started doing portraiture work, I think you can go back to I'm looking oh wait, I'm looking at my screen. If you go back to Girls with Fruit Volume 1,
Mm-hmm.
you can see the earliest portraiture work that I've done. This was all done in my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
this one it's pretty much straight up portraiture work.
Mm-hmm.
No fancy lighting, no fancy colors, just a solid picture, solid backdrop for them, and then this fruit and trying to embody them and the model and who they are. Well, while I'm photographing, and I'm naturally a talkative person,
Mm-hmm.
I get that from my dad, but I'm talking to them and we're just having a basic conversation, and I have the camera on the table in front of me. And every once in a while, I'll put it up to my eye and I'll focus and shoot the shutter. Now, with digital, it's harder because it's this giant thing in front of your face. But with film, the way my film cameras are waist level film cameras,
Mm.
so I'm always kind of like looking down. Like imagine this is my camera. I'm always looking down at it. So and then talking, focusing, and then firing. So most of the time I focus on one, I just focus straight and then I just shoot the film. Um and keep doing that until I feel like I've gotten something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and with these, so most of the time I ask them to stop, hold the moment, tilt their head either, left or right or whatever, do something different. Or most of the time it's me just watching them. There's a lot
Yeah.
of watching. I'm an excellent people watcher. It's a sport.
Okay.
For sure.
So there's
One of the
there's a
best.
lot of
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people watching and making them comfortable because you don't want to just like stare at this one person, but making
Right.
them feel comfortable in their space, in your space. This is my space.
Oh yeah.
So I really have to be more
Absolutely.
welcoming to them, which is different than me photographing them in their space, which is more of the black body radiation.
Yeah.
That's their space to they feel most comfortable in there. So I'm trying to either way, I'm trying to make them comfortable and just safe and showing that I'm
Absolutely.
valuing them a
And
lot more.
and what I saw from some of your portrait day stuff at GCAD, and
Oh yeah.
we hope that you do it again. And of course, like shout out to them and all of that. But what I noticed with you, you're very confident with the camera as well. Like
Oh,
you know what you want, and you're able to elicit a response from your subject, like through your confidence with it. Because I think I saw you
mhm.
taking photos of Josh and Marianne, and you were like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
do this, and then like there's almost this like transformative experience that can happen
Mhm.
to an individual when they just go into that place of like listening.
Yes.
Of like, what does Tiffany want? She wants me to like look up and to the left, like okay, like I'm just a marionette right now,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you're able to like elicit these
Mhm.
moments out of people through the directive as well.
I've read a lot of psychology books. I'm really into Jung.
Hmm.
A little bit into Freud, although I find his writing to be really dense
Yeah.
and it kind of makes me fall asleep. But the idea of kind of getting to know someone and getting to know their habits and what is a natural state for them,
Hmm.
You know, like some people naturally look down or up to the left or right or down to the left or right and tilt their head natural way. It's just their normal gestures. So it's a matter of like waiting a little bit until they get into that gesture. And then if I'm like I'm have to move faster than that, then I'd like put them in that gesture that I've already seen them in. So
Oh, I
like
see.
for instance, with Marianne and Josh, they're always, you know, Marianne is always, oh, hold on, go back, you skipped it. Marianne's in here somewhere. There she is. He's in the orange.
In the orange.
Oh yeah.
She's with the clementines or the blood oranges. So she's always in that natural state of kind of like looking and listening. So although I guess sometimes it appears, I don't know, a little vacant, but I really feel like I was talking during this point and she's just listening to me. I told her to pause for a second, and then that's how this image was created. So it's more like that. And then if you scroll up or back to the right, yeah.
This way?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Right here to Sion, the one in blue and white with the grapefruit. I posed her for this one. So I really wanted a more of a Mona Lisa kind of look. I'm really into the golden ratio type of way of photographing or well, I guess I should say picture making because it's been going on since like painting, really.
Yeah.
Of where the movement circulates from her eye, radiates from her eye. So if you're looking at her, I guess to me it's her left eye. If you're looking through her left eye and then you circle around and then you get trapped in the lines of her shirt and her arm leads down on her elbow rests on that arm, on the bit of the armchair, and then there you look down a little bit and there's the grapefruits that are all cleaned, and then you go back up from that grapefruit where her hand is pointing up, and then you have the grapefruit going down that way, and then it goes back up to her face.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
I see that.
it ends up being this like giant, trying to create multiple, make your eye move basically. Like I'm not so much controlling the person in the photograph as I feel like I'm controlling the viewer. So I feel like I want them to see certain things first, and then we kind of gravitate out towards that. So in this case, I wanted you to see her face a little bit more. This is more about her being a woman than the other ones were.
I see.
Do you understand? I don't know if I'm explaining that right.
Yeah, because there's a natural draw to a person's eyes in portraiture, but like in this one in particular, it's like very clear where you're supposed to go first. Whereas like in other places, you know, you want to go there, but like with this one, there are lots of different elements that are very like high contrast, like the way that this pink is over the black, where it's like your eyes just naturally drawn to that contrast in the same way of like the shine of her eyes. But in this one, it's like everything slows down and mutes, and the face and like the connection, you know, the physical connection with the eyes, you know, really jumps out. So I do see that, and I think that's interesting from my perspective of thinking about it as photographer, like manipulating subject to like draw out subject, but it's what you're saying is this like photographer manipulating viewer through subject. Yes,
exactly. The idea is to make the viewer respond emotionally or intellectually. So my hope with any of my portraits is that they're stopping to look and maybe meditate, but definitely not judge. Like they're stopping to examine and really look at something. With the black body radiation, the virility gone, the otherness is gone, and even though you can't see who that person is, you can still feel an energy with them. You feel that they're more than what they seem to be, and that you can imagine a lot of things for them, and those things would be mostly positive, I hope. But you can kind of see a contrast of who they are. And also just really reflect on where you are in the world and how you view portraiture work.
Jess in the chat asks, how long is the time you spend with subjects?
Oh, it's very short, mostly like 30, 45 minutes.
Mm.
And it's pretty fast. Film, the type of camera I use is called the medium format camera. It takes 2.25 by 2.25 square image. You only get 12 shots out of that roll. So a lot of it is just holding the camera, talking to them, trying to figure out where I want the viewer to look. And it's really fast. I don't like to waste time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like to waste time. With my digital camera, I waste time and I end up not liking the photos as much.
Mm.
So
So
with
they
the
have a different
film,
pace to them.
yeah, there's a different pace, and making multiple exposures slows it down just enough
Mm-hmm.
to make it interesting for me. But not so much that I'm shooting like I have 1,000 shots to like look over. Like with this roll, I think I did 2 rolls with her, so 20 shots.
Okay.
And they pretty much all came out pretty much more or less the way I wanted them to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bright sunny day, so there's a little bit of a contrast, and the color saturation is not as much, but they have basically a garden, a little farm in front of their house
Yeah.
in Maplewood.
I'm-
So
hey,
it's
I grew up there as
just
well.
Hey.
So.
Yeah.
Shout out Maplewood.
Maplewood,
um,
and
yes.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I was curious that, we're talking about like, speaking with the subject and the timing, and we were kind of talking about that in the very like kind of studio with the planned lighting and stuff like that. And something I think I've talked to with fellow photographer friends about, like when doing portraiture,
Hmm.
or just even like people in the street, like some people are just so bold, can literally just approach strangers and just be like, hi, can I take your photo? Or just like some people get in their face and just start taking photos, which I personally think is not okay, but that's
No,
a
it's
separate
totally
subject.
creepy.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, like, you're as far as like communication when you're out in the literal field, whether that be
Mhm.
an actual field or just being outside, and it also being multi-exposure, has that changed kind of the way you communicate with your subject? And that idea of like, these portraits are to speak to kind of challenge the audience member of that. I feel like, with film and double exposure or multiple exposure, you yourself as an artist don't know what you're getting. So how
Mhm.
have you dealt with you kind of also being in the audience of your own work at the same time
Yeah.
with it being film like that?
Um, when I make a portrait, I sort of do some scouting.
Mm,
So I'm coming into this situation where we're both entering the situation, the studio, the session where we both have a general idea of each other and our work. So they know what kind of work I make anyway, because I've scouted them out like on Instagram or something. And they follow me or I follow them, and then I, DM them and we have a conversation about that. These are all people who live in the St. Louis area.
I was
So
gonna
it's
say I
easy.
recognized a few more friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets to their place. Like I'm in their space and in their neighborhood on top of everything else. I
Mhm.
also pay my models, which is um not traditionally what people do, I think. I think a lot of um artists will just use a model and then give them a print of their photo. So, which I do also, but I feel like to value them even more, especially during this time of COVID, like I'm taking time that they could be making money. So I'm going to give
Mm.
them money for them taking out the time and helping me do this project. And then in that response to that, I'm giving them purpose, and I'm showing them that I value them.
Yeah.
And then I also like to make a point to tell people that too, because I want other people to know that I'm just not using this subject, that I'm just not of, like just, oh, it's very popular to photograph Black women now. But no, it is very popular, but I'm actually taking that step to pay them, to give them a print, to make them feel comfortable, to be in their space whenever they feel comfortable, whenever that is, day, night, whatever, not to intrude on them so much, and to just let them feel comfortable around me to the point that this is, they're comfortable, they're good, they can create they create their own image in a way, and then I can direct the viewer to do some other thinking and feeling around.
Yeah, I think that's,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's amazing, and I'm glad that you brought up the topic of paying your subjects, about art being like a job. Like art
Yeah.
is a job, right? And being a model for someone is work. And I think you
Yes.
summed it up perfectly. Like they could be doing something else with this time.
With
And
that time.
Yeah.
that time, I mean, time is like the most, the most important thing that we can give to one another.
hmm
And to be paid for that is awesome. And you also ask people, and this is something I really admire about you, is you ask people to pay for your work. You ask people to
Yeah.
support you, and
hmm
that doesn't seem like it should be something that's so like taboo, but I think like artists coming of age, artists coming into the world and like declaring for themselves like, "Hey, I make money doing this." Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
if you
And
like
you
my
should.
stuff, like I can only do it if people want it, people support it, people
Yeah.
like take that, and then for you to be reflecting that into your subjects, I think really builds up the good karma. But
hmm
it's not just good karma that gets us by either. It's like it's money.
That's true. I mean, the karma can always be I give them a print,
Right.
whatever. And
Mm.
sometimes, a lot of times, people appreciate that. I mean, the fact that I pay them, I don't tell the model that I pay them,
Hmm.
actually. I pay them at the end of everything, Cash App them or Venmo, whatever, to do for them. And it's just like a little surprise. Like oftentimes I'm away from the situation completely.
Mm.
And I just text them, oh, by the way, thank you. Here's $50 for yourself.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, it does go back to valuing them. And I was getting so many grants that I felt I really did had to pay it forward. Being part of Black culture means that you do everything for the group. It means that if you can pay people, you pay people. If you can honor them and value them and monetary are a material thing, or maybe in reference, or maybe you do a job for them in some kind of way, a bargaining type thing, then you really show that you respect that person and you want to work with them again
Hmm.
and you value their time. And I really feel that's important. Now, when it comes to my Patreon, I've been working on that lately, and it is my way of making a living. It's how I survive to pay my models, to pay for my rent of my studio space, and to basically be an artist, to be a full time artist.
Hmm.
So I want people to value my work, and sometimes that means you can't give it away.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't give it away. I mean, I give my prints away for some people that I really feel are models of mine, so it's their photo. If I want you to buy a photo and you really want one, then I'll have a print sale. I'll probably have another one during Valentine's Day.
Oh, good.
A print sale where you can buy something for $50, and it's just a small 8x8 print or equivalent size 8x10 print, depending on the film, the format of the film, and that's also how you value me.
Yeah.
It's just supporting the work and noticing me is how I feel I want others to value me.
Yeah. So I have a couple of things here. I'm going to pop Tiffany's links into the chat here. Your Patreon starts at $3 a month, which is a
Yeah.
coffee. So if you have three
Yeah.
dollars extra a month, definitely go check out Tiffany's Patreon and subscribe, and then that'll be great because then she knows that we're helping too. This is like a
Yeah.
nice community that all comes together, and like I'm thinking a lot with the travel agency about how to change the forms and formats of patronage in the arts. Like
Yeah.
patronage isn't getting your name on the museum wall of
Yes.
$1 million and up, like
hmm hmm
and then like doing the ultimate boss move and saying anonymous, right? Like
Yes.
it's
There
not
you go.
like
Yes.
patronage is not just that. Like microtransactions, micro patronage of artists is, I
hmm
think, a much more powerful and well distributed and equitable way of
hmm
supporting contemporary artists, because like we know these institutions are not doing the work
Mm-hmm.
that they need to be doing,
No.
to be supporting diversity, to be supporting young people getting into the arts in different
Mm-hmm.
communities. It's like, I mean, we can get into this later, but it's Eurocentric. It's based on colonialism. You know, your
Yeah.
patronage to St. Louis Art Museum is when you walk in the door, somebody has a little thing in their hand and they click it. And then they take
Mm-hmm.
that number and they use that number to apply for grants that, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
every single year, right? So I'm on a little bit of a tear here, but I want to let everybody know, all the viewers know that like your viewership, your attention is like the micro patron. It's the micro transaction. And then,
Yeah.
you know, the $3, the $5 a month supports
Mm-hmm.
diversity and equality and like equitable work, and also like
Yeah.
decolonizes the art
Mm-hmm.
world if we're supporting the stuff that we're interested in, not
Yeah,
just
definitely.
what we're told to be interested in. So, uh,
Well, it's also a lot of like self-discovery because like I feel I me and my roommate share a membership to Slam,
mhm.
and I mean we go there once a month, sometimes twice a month.
Yeah.
I think during times where if he's had days off, we would go every week
Hmm.
and just hang out in a place of the I mean to the point where people know us. And they're always like, "Hey, how's it going, guys? Haven't seen you in like a whole, 48 hours or something like that."
Yeah.
But that idea of self-discovery, so not only are you paying for something, but because you're paying for something, you want to get out of it the most that you can.
Hmm.
Memberships to museums are quite expensive. They're definitely not $3.
No.
um Not even like close to even being, they're over $100 to get
Hmm.
anything of real value, like to talk to the artist or to get on a personal tour with a curator or whatnot, especially at Slam. But that encourages you to be part of that world.
Hmm.
You're not just giving away money. I mean, if you can, you can. But when you
Right.
become a member or a patron, you're actually wanting to learn more about that person and about that space.
Hmm.
So it's not only I like you and I'm going to give you money. It's more like I'm interested in you and I want to
Right.
give you money so you can keep doing what you're doing so I can be more engaged in life, in society, in art world, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that to some degree people know this, but I think it's also super powerful for us artists to be active in that conversation and to
Yeah.
say, you know, and just to get in the habit of that. Like I took two paintings out of my studio yesterday, one to a show and one to a private collection. And like there's part of me that was like, "Oh, my children." Like, "Bye.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
not my children."
Yes.
But also like I mean, I can buy food for my pets now. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can I
Yeah.
can I
Your
can do all
fur
of that
pets,
stuff.
your fur children. Yeah.
So so yeah, it's that's something I really appreciate about you, and people should support your research because that's what it is. This is research, and
Yeah.
I think it's great for people to support it. We're coming up on our second break here. So let me switch over here. Thank y'all for tuning in. Kind of a really good movement through a lot of different um, series, or a few different series of Tiffany's work. When we come back from our break, we're going to take a 10-minute break, but when we come back from the break, we're going to wrap up this conversation about her artwork and have her share anything else that's like really important and near and dear to her in this work. And then we're going to lighten it back up again. So the last half hour ish of the show, we're going to ask Tiffany some questions about like flipping people off when she's driving, or maybe some
Yeah.
stuff like that. So stick around for that. We're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be back here at about 12:10.